Welcome to Wellness by Design. I'm Jane Hogan, the Wellness Engineer, and I'm really excited about my guest today, Sarah Dawkins. We are going to talk about how to activate self healing. So, if you have any questions, just type them into the comments. I'll try to keep an eye on those and answer those as we're going along. And I just want to read Sarah's bio. Sarah started as a, here we go. Sarah started as a nurse. Sarah is a registered nurse, multi award winning entrepreneur. That's an unusual combination, nursing and
Isn't it just?
entrepreneurship. Holistic health coach and uh, author of something said I was being signed out, but it looks okay. Author of Heal Yourself. There we go. That's the book, Heal Yourself. She has a wealth of experience in health and wellness gained through her many years of nursing and her insatiable drive to improve overall health through nutrition and natural means. We sound like we're sisters, Sarah.
Yeah, yeah. Improving the health of the nation.
Yeah, I love the work that you're doing. I love that you've put this book together, and we'll talk about that afterwards. But let me hear a little bit. All of us come to this holistic space through our own experience or through the experience of a loved one. So let's hear a little bit about your background and what took you from nursing to holistic health.
Okay, so whilst I was training as a nurse and working as a nurse, the patients would come into hospital and we would either treat them with surgery or drugs. And it was all about what are their symptoms? How can we manage their symptoms? Or can we cut a bit out of them with surgery and make them better? I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, well, if we backtrack a little bit, can we stop whatever's going on in these symptoms? Can we stop them coming forwards? Can we stop them manifesting, presenting? So that led me down the holistic route. How can we look at where the symptoms have come from, not what we can do for the symptoms? Let's go backwards. So
Mm.
that was my introduction to holistic healing, in looking at the body as a whole, because doctors used to look at us as a whole, and then they all diversified and specialized, and now you've got cardiologists for the heart, and neurologists for the brain, and pulmonologists for the lungs, and so they've all specialized and gone away from looking at the body as a whole. So I'm like, well, let's go back to how it used to be. Let's treat us as a whole, and look at why are we manifesting, why are we presenting with symptoms, where have they come from? And at the same time, I'd started to improve my own health and wellness through changing my eating habits and de-stressing and becoming mindful. And on my own healing journey, I learned all of that. And so it kind of all came together more or less within a couple of years, really. I'd started questioning things, and then I became ill, and then I'd started my own healing journey. So that's how I went in from nursing into health and wellness in a holistic sense.
I love that. I love that. I mean, so because of you could see that people were had these downstream symptoms and you wanted to help them upstream before they got to those
Yes,
symptoms.
yes,
And also for your own health, you could see that
yeah,
handling things further upstream would make a difference to your health as well. And I
absolutely.
found the same
Yeah.
thing. So, oh, that's really lovely, Sarah. So, let's hear a little bit about the work that you do now, then. How is it you apply this holistic approach in your care for other people?
So when I get clients coming to me, we sit down and have a chat about what symptoms they've got, and their lifestyle that they're leading. And I tend to, with most clients, do like a guided meditation with them, where I get them into a relaxed state, and they go on a journey inside their body. And whilst they're inside their body, they actually find an issue from childhood years, much younger years. And they go to a safe space with a mentor, and it's full of unconditional love. And we have a conversation around what happened and how it could have been made better. And then we change that memory to make it better. and we give the client the skills that they were lacking at that time. And then we come out of that healing journey, that meditation. And quite often that is a huge catalyst to get people onto their own healing journey, because they've come out of the meditation and went, wow, it's so powerful,
Mm,
because it identifies where some of the origins of their symptoms have come from. And it also allows them to go undertake a forgiveness, and let go of whatever that issue was, because we're looking at it with unconditional love and compassion,
mm-hmm.
and we understand what whoever was involved in that issue, why they did and said what they did and said. And if it's, I've had a couple of people who haven't been able to forgive fully, so we look at forgiving the soul of that person rather than the body of that person. So one way or another, we undertake a forgiveness and come out, and that really helps and kickstarts their healing. And then from there, we look at what else that they've held on to, because often that will identify other issues, and how we can heal that, and how we can look at the world differently as well. So it's not just about what we can do with our lifestyle, our nutrition and hydration and exercise, but how we can view the world differently. We look at how we're viewing it now, and how we can change our view, change our thoughts, because we are the thinker of our thoughts, but we do have errant thoughts. So we can think, well, that, I don't like that thought, so I'm going to choose my thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
So I work in a really holistic way with people, looking at the big picture, not just, nothing is ever in isolation.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Sarah, I love that. And you've got such a beautiful manner about you that I bet your clients find it very peaceful working with you. And I love what you've talked about there. Well, first of all, I've come to this conclusion as well that most illnesses really have an emotional basis, and very often they go back to something that we've been hanging on to for so
Absolutely.
long.
Yeah.
And that forgiveness, the lack of forgiveness is something like it's a construct in our head, right? In our,
Yeah.
of the mind, and
Yeah.
we are in control of our mind, so we can always change it. We just never had the tools. Often we were little
Yes.
people when this
Yeah.
happened, these things happen,
Yeah.
and we didn't have the tools really to understand it. But we can always go back and make a new decision on it. And
Absolutely.
so I love that. I love what you're doing, that work that you're doing with that, and
Thank you.
helping
And
people, guide people through making a new decision and opening the road to forgiveness, and
yeah,
in whatever way that is, because when that happens, like, we can release stuff, right? And when we can release it, that's when the body can heal. Oh.
absolutely. And quite often we don't know that we're holding on to all this stuff. We think, well, I've kind of pushed it away and forgotten about it, so I've dealt with it. But
Yeah.
actually, it comes out at inopportune moments. And quite often we don't even realize that what's coming out is the hurt from years ago. And once
Hmm.
we heal that hurt, we can see it in ourselves, because we're no longer holding on to it. We've let it go. So it
Yeah.
doesn't manifest in our emotions.
Hmm. There's a really great book, I don't know if you've read it, by Candace Pert, called Molecules of Emotion. And she actually isolate or found that emotions create neuropeptides which need to be metabolized by the body. And if they don't metabolize, then they end up in our tissues and do create, illness later on. So we need to learn how to we need to let those metabolize so they can
Yeah,
get out of our system. So you
yeah.
give people a beautiful opportunity and a way to do that. So love that. That's beautiful work. Beautiful
Thank you.
work. So you, when you talk about getting at root causes, lots of times people say, "Oh, well, the leaky gut is the root cause." Well, we know that that's not even the root cause, right? It
Yeah,
goes back even further than that. But we still
absolutely.
do have to deal with these things and these lifestyle
Yeah,
changes that you talk
yes,
about. The food and the nutrition, the hydration, sleep, all of these things that our
Yeah,
lifestyle things we can do to help all of that
yeah,
heal. But
yeah,
I love getting back at the root, the real root cause. And
yeah,
who knows, it might even be way even back further than we know. But we can certainly
absolutely.
look at our childhood. And for me personally, and maybe you've seen this, but sometimes you can tell when you have like a really unreasonable reaction, emotional reaction to something that
Yes,
seems minor, that can
yeah,
kind of give you a little bit of a hint of the emotion that was really triggered at the time. Do you
yes.
see that with your clients?
Yes,
Mm.
yes, and quite often they'll have and people in general, not just my clients.
Yeah.
People will have an exaggerated emotional response to something,
Yes.
and when you start looking at that and questioning that, where does that response come from? How are you feeling now? What in your past made you feel like how you're feeling now? And it's about digging back,
Yeah.
and we don't have to in the conscious, because I do my meditation as a subconscious journey. We don't have to consciously go back and think, well, he said and she said, it's not about that. It's a healing journey. So it's not about, because a lot of counseling will take you back and pick through the finer detail, and I don't want to do that. I want to kickstart
Mm-hmm.
the emotions underneath it and where they come from and why,
Mm-hmm.
and then work with changing memories and how get the clients to understand how what happened previously in their childhood is totally underpinning their emotional reactions now. And once they see that, they can then rein it in, pull it back a little bit, and understand their emotional responses, but link it to something way back, and then maybe do some more healing that way.
Love that. Yeah, and I like that whole idea. You don't have to hash it out and hash it out and get all the details.
Yes,
It's just like what decision did I make then, and now I make a new one, and can
absolutely.
change everything. So
Yeah.
beautiful, Sarah. So beautiful. So I came in contact with you when you were putting together this book, Heal
Yeah.
Yourself. So let's hear a little bit about this book. What was the inspiration behind it, and what led you to go on this journey of interviewing and gathering all these stories of healing?
Yeah. It started from I became depressed. Something happened, and I became depressed, but it didn't resolve, and I actually became suicidal.
Oh goodness.
And my doctor wanted to give me sleeping tablets and antidepressants, and I'd had antidepressants when I'd had postnatal depression, and it did nothing but make me into a zombie. So I said, I don't want tablets. I don't know how I'm going to do it because I really didn't at the time, but I'm going to do this without tablets. And I had absolutely no idea what that looked like.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd started because we had dogs, so I had to go out and walk the dogs. And over a period of time, I started noticing the sky was blue, the birds were singing, the trees were coming into bud. So I was actually coming out of myself into the outside world. And then I started on guided meditations, and slowly but slowly my friend then started taking me to an exercise class at the gym, and I started feeling better, and as I felt much better, I thought, well, maybe I could write a book about this and help other people who, because there's a lot of people suffering mental health issues, and I thought maybe my book would help people in the same situation as myself. So I wrote out about 10,000 words straight away, like, yes, this is how, this is where I was and where I've come from and where I am now and what I did. And I thought, well, it's just about me. How can I, this will help a few people, but it won't help a lot of people. And I didn't know what to do with it. So I actually put my book away for about 5 years, because I was just like, well, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? And then as I started, I had a frozen shoulder, which I then healed, and another frozen shoulder, which I healed. And I'd gone on and done other different healings. I thought, well, I could write about those as well. And then I thought, well, other people must be healing other things too. So that's when I started reaching out. and getting more people on board. And I thought, actually, if I can look at lots of different ailments. So I reached out and people came back to me with a different variety of things and got their stories. And then I started looking for holes. What have I not got? I reached out to your good self because I didn't have rheumatoid arthritis. So thank you so much for that. And slowly but surely the stories came in. And that's how my book developed. It was like, it's not just about me, it's about how can lots of people healing themselves of lots of different conditions that the doctors have said are chronic and lifelong and life-threatening. How can we help other people? Well, we'll get this book together, put all these healing journeys out. But it was about the way it's helping people is that everybody, as you well know, has written how they've healed these problems, so that other people can, with the same problems, can then try what the healers in the book have tried. And that was the real crux to getting my book out. I'm like, this is it. I know what I'm doing now. It's not just about me. It's about healing, self-healing, a whole range of all sorts of different problems and health issues to help so many people out in the world. I'm currently having it translated to Dutch and Greek, and I'm liaising with a Spanish speaker. And I'd like to do it in every language, but slowly.
Well, you start somewhere, right? So can you like run down through some of the healing condition or the conditions that people have written about in your book?
Sure. Asthma, eczema, cancer, fibromyalgia, chronic pain syndrome, ulcerative colitis, rheumatoid arthritis, ALS, which is also called Lou Gehrig disease, and in the UK we call it motor neuron disease, multiple sclerosis. I have one lady who's almost healed vitiligo, which is the lack of pigment in the skin, so with the white patches, depression, anxiety, a whole range of autoimmune and other problems, thyroid, overactive, underactive thyroid, so many. It's wonderful.
Fantastic. That's excellent. So, is there anything that stands out, like common things that you've seen across all the stories that, are there, two, three, five things that have been common across that you've
As
noticed?
in healing modalities.
Yeah, like things people have done. Like has everybody addressed food, for example? Has everybody addressed mindset? What have you seen?
In the main, there are threads running through the books,
Okay,
and
excellent.
and it is the physical with healing of food, so nutrition and hydration and exercise, and then there's the mental health, thoughts, emotions, how to deal with those, and then there's the spiritual side. It's about our connection to others, and our connection to ourselves as well. And then the emotional side, that is also about connection to others. And a lot of the healers have identified that actually there's more to it than just eating more fruit and vegetables. There's a lot more to it. Some of them have actually acknowledged, like myself, that forgiveness was a huge part of the healing. One lady with the vaginal cancer springs to mind. She improved her diet and her lifestyle and was in tip-top health, but the cancer she had was still growing until she acknowledged she needed to forgive something from way back. And when she did, she healed it. So there's that thread runs through quite a lot of the stories, and I've pulled that together in my end word and said, from my own healing, what I did and what I've now learned through other people's healing as well. We can't just eat more fruit and veg and that's it. Yes, it helps, but it doesn't heal totally. Total healing needs the physical, the mental, the emotional, and the spiritual all to be addressed together.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more. That is so lovely. I mean, we are more than just a physical body.
Absolutely.
There's
Yeah.
so much more to us, so we can't just heal on the physical plane. We have to address all of it, and we're not used to it. It's not something that most
No.
people in our conventional thinking and the way we've all been brought up is it that's not a kind of healing that we've been told about or taught about.
No.
Our healing is you go to the doctor, you get a prescription, you take
Yeah.
that, and you go from there. But we don't really talk about healing on a spiritual level, or
No.
being putting ourselves in a loving vibration, that healing, because that is a
Yes.
healing vibration. We're not really
Yeah.
taught about that. And that's the emotional side, right? So it's new to a lot of people. I think it's growing. Well, maybe because I'm in the
Yes.
field, it seems like it's growing. I talk
Yes.
about it all the time, and you're talking about it. So, and other
Yes.
people are talking about it. So, hopefully, we're changing that paradigm shift a little bit. And
Yes.
I think it's a beautiful thing because it puts people back in the power seat of
Yes.
their physical
Absolutely.
health, their physical, emotional, mental, spiritual health. All of it is really in our capability, our possibility to change all of that.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so that's really lovely. I love that that was a common thread across these stories. And I think
Absolutely.
in the story that I told you, I don't know if I really addressed the forgiveness part, but there was definitely some forgiveness for me as well that I had to work on.
Yes.
That's really been
Yes.
freeing, actually, very freeing to not hang on to any of that crap
It's
anymore, just to
yeah,
let it all
it's like
go.
a weight lifted.
It is. And I don't know if you know about this, but well, you probably do, about how a lot of different illnesses have certain emotional things attached to them. Like
Yeah.
for rheumatoid arthritis, there is that one of feeling the weight of the world on your shoulders and, hanging on to like lack of forgiveness or resentment or anger and
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
kinds of things. And, a lot of illnesses have traits, that are attached to it, which
Yes.
is very interesting because they're not, it's all emotional, mental states, right? Um,
Yes.
and I think the more people know about that and maybe helping people believe that, because that's another thing, it's like, do people believe it or not? The more they
Yeah.
hear about it through books like your book, the more I think it helps with the belief. And the science is starting to show it as well, that
Yeah.
we see that when people have, the Heart Math Institute does a lot of research on this,
Yes.
when people focus on a positive heart feeling and the feeling, not the thought, but that feeling then changes how their heart runs and then also their physical things like the heart rate variability. So all of that changes, and also other things, they make better decisions, they think clearer, so the science is starting to back this up, which is I think
Yes.
a real
Yeah.
beautiful thing. I love the science,
Yeah.
and you with your nursing background
Absolutely.
probably love the science behind it as well. I feel like it's kind of all coming together, which is really, really lovely. Okay, so where can people find the book?
I'm on Amazon, and my book's on Amazon worldwide, so hopefully it should be listed in every country. It's a physical paperback book, and it's also as an ebook.
Okay.
So if you just look up "Heal Yourself," in fact, if you just type in Sarah Dawkins in Amazon, it comes up with my book, because I didn't realize there were so many books called "Heal Yourself," but they're focused around heal yourself of this problem, heal yourself of that problem. And so if you type in my name, you will find my book. But
I,
type in "Heal Yourself," you'll bring up about 10 books, I think.
Okay, I'll definitely share the link. I know I've seen it on the UK one, the US Amazon.com, and also Amazon.ca. So I know it's there for people to get it if they want to get it, and it's great that you've got it in ebook form as well.
Yes.
All
Yeah.
right, so where can actually I got one question for you that I always
Okay.
ask my guests before we finish up, and we're coming up to the end of the show now. So I would love to know, the question is always, what's one thing someone could do today to improve their health? So, not long term, whatever. It's just something today that maybe is even a little micro change that could improve their health. What would you say, Sarah?
I would say be the observer of your thoughts, because we can choose our thoughts. And when we take a moment and become in the present, right here, right now, because now is all there is, the 5 minutes ago was once the now, and the future will become the now. Sit with your thoughts and analyze them. Where did that thought come from? Is it a real thought, or is it just junk thoughts? Because our minds will bring up junk thoughts. So analyze your thoughts, be the observer, step outside and look at what you're thinking. And if you don't like it, change it. Choose a different thought. We are the creators. We can choose what we think. So if we don't like that junk thought, get rid of it.
Yeah.
Choose a different thought. There is only right here, right now, always, ever.
Beautiful, beautiful. I love that. I'm just rereading The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle.
Oh,
So
yes.
I'm full in the now, right now.
Yes.
But it
Yes.
is so true because, our thoughts can really stray past, future, and it's
Yeah.
also kind of senseless, really, when all we have is really this present moment.
Absolutely.
Really, really beautiful, Sarah. So, where can people, we know where they can find the book, where can people find out more about you?
My website is my name, sarah.dawkins.com. I'm on Facebook, Sarah Dawkins, but I think it's slash in the beginning of my email. So Dawkins SE, Dawkins Sarah Elizabeth.
Okay.
And I'm on Instagram as at sarah.dawkins.health. And my LinkedIn, my professional profile is Sarah Dawkins.
Well, I will share all that. So it's
Yes,
SarahDawkins. I will
it
share
is.
all those links so people can find you. And
Thank you.
this has been a beautiful conversation, and I wish you the best with the book and that it impacts so many people to help empower them in their health as well. You're doing beautiful work in the world, Sarah. Thank you so much for
Thank you,
being my
Jane,
guest
and
today.
thank you so much for your time as well.
Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure. Bye. Thanks for
Bye.
watching, whether you're watching or listening to the podcast or watching on one of my channels. It's been lovely having you. Thank you for tuning into Wellness by Design today. Bye bye.